This is my entire $3 million a month funnel that generates over 50% profit margins, and I'm just going to give it away for you. Many people ask me how I get so much business so profitably. It starts with a lot of inbound, both ads, referrals, organic, as well as a little bit of sales outreach. The primary split that we have now is about 80% of our volume coming from ads. The volume there is important, and about 20% of our sales volume coming from organic. However, the actual revenue is a little different, and we're anywhere between 20 and 40% revenue from organic, and the other 60 to 80% from ads. The referrals make up less than 1%, as well as the sales outreach, I would say less than 0.01% as far as our total sales volume over the last year. Now, the actual funnels that we use are very specific. And while we will look at every single step of this funnel, and I'll take you through some of the key things that we do that differentiate us from our competitors and allow us to be so profitable as well as do so at scale, but I wanted to make a note here that we have angle-specific funnels, which I actually don't see enough of. Too many businesses hit this ceiling in their acquisition where they can't get above 100,000 or they can't get above 200,000 a month, or maybe they're stuck at $1 million a month. There's no way to get more people profitably enough through their funnels. But by having an angle-specific funnel, you actually expand your total buyer pool. So instead of just targeting people with a very niche need that you solve in that funnel, what other aspects of your offer fill tangentially related requests? For example, we're a B2B marketing company. One of our angles is we'll get you views on social media. We do social media marketing. The other angle is that we actually just staff an editor for you. So maybe you already have a good social media presence, but you're looking to kind of level it up. The next one is that we take your business, which is potentially already successful with a good editor, and just help it convert better on social media using some of the organic short form funnel methods that we're going to talk about in this video. Either way, those are three kind of different things: getting your social media set up, getting you just a better editor to improve the quality, or maybe it's already set up and the quality is great. You just need to actually make some money from it. We also have angle specific by employee. So we have multiple different faces of the brand, multiple people making content for us. And what we want to do is have congruency between the ad and the funnel. So when they see an ad talking about our 10 million view guarantee, it needs to go to the 10 million view guarantee funnel. But it also needs to go to a funnel that is congruent with the rep that made the ad. For example, we have some female representatives, and if we have a female leading ad and then it goes to a male leading VSL, we've noticed that the conversions drop a lot because suddenly there's a different spokesperson. And so by aligning those spokespeople and having congruent landing pages, we have multiple different variations that all perform profitably, as opposed to having some that don't work with some incompatible ads. So you want to pay attention to congruency there. It's a really big deal once you get above 100,000 a month with your product or service, specifically when talking about getting people from ads or organic on social media. Now we'll break this landing page down in just a second, but I wanted to show you what happens immediately after because it's extremely relevant. We have multiple different booking pages depending on the quality of the lead that we get. For example, we have the top tier leads that are given to the best sales reps on our team. We call that B2B1. They're the top tier. Then we have slightly worse applications that we rate based on criteria of their answers in the application form that go to the mid-tier leads, and then some that we send to the third-tier leads, and then some that are completely disqualified here into an SDR function or not qualified into our process whatsoever. And we'll talk about these SDR functions because they actually added a lot to our top-line revenue as well. But the segmentation here really allows us to take advantage of the best performing sales reps on our team and squeeze the most amount of high-quality volume through them. This is actually what doubled our business way back in December or January when we first launched it. And we went from an efficiency of about $500 per lead to $1,000 per lead, basically overnight when we started giving our best reps the best leads. But if you want a full explanation of how the application questions we ask actually value our leads, what every single entry is worth, and how we make determinations such as what a lead is worth based on even the email that they input, that is actually a whole separate video that is coming out next. Subscribe so you're notified when it comes out. But for today, just notice that every single person that comes through our funnel is going to be separated into one of 3 potential booking pages or completely disqualified altogether because they don't fit the criteria of a client for us. And then they're funneled to a thank you page. Now, before we get into all of the other stuff that makes this happen, I think there's a lot of details that we need to go over specifically on that landing page VSL and application form so that you don't mess it up when trying to replicate this yourself. So we're actually going to look at this on my iPhone. You should measure website traffic yourself, but we notice that 99% of our traffic comes from mobile, so we optimize our entire process on mobile. One of the first things we notice is that the entire web page loads super fast. If you didn't see that load time, it was almost instant, which is very important. Next, starting right from the top, we have the brand name, as well as a little bit of social proof with our excellent Trustpilot rating, a description of what we do, which actually changes depending on the type of funnel that you're pushing people to, which we talked about earlier, having multiple different variations, a VSL that is also conditional upon what type of VSL they're being pushed to, a little bit more social proof, and then a see if you qualify, because this absolutely is a qualification process where not everyone is qualified to work with us. This button takes them further down to the page where the application is very visible at the very top. So as soon as you land on the page, this is very important, you should be able to see the application. You shouldn't have to scroll down to get to the application. It should be visible. You should be able to see it, what they call above the fold. But this button just accelerates that process, brings you right down there. We have first name, last name, business email. That's actually a very important line. Based on the type of email they give us, we know what a lead is worth. Same with all of the other questions. What type of phone number they put in, the area code that they use, also quantifies how much that lead is worth to us so that we can properly route it to the appropriate salesperson in terms of quality of lead. Tell us about your business. That's a little bit of a subjective metric there, but we do have a few keywords that we specifically filter out that we've just noticed in our B2B marketing agency that are not a good fit for our program. Again, that video is coming out next. Then we also route the leads based on the monthly revenue that they have. Through a lot of experimentation, we have found that these are the best brackets for us. If you're doing larger enterprise deals, you might start at $250,000 a month. For example, one large competitor in our space doing $350 million a year doesn't even take on people that don't have a marketing budget of over $1 million a year. If you're spending less than $1 million a year, they don't even want to work with you. Our people are a little bit less sophisticated in terms of business size, so we have different markers here. Marketing spend is also historic, so instead of asking for budget and what you're hoping to spend, we get a little bit more of an honest answer on what they have spent over the last 30 days. I always recommend historics. If you have a funnel that doesn't specialize in any kind of B2B services and the actual marketing spend or their budget is not relevant at all to the purchase. For example, if you have a dating and relationship thing, you should ask them how long have they been looking for a partner, or how many dates have they went on, or potentially try to financially qualify them somehow. How much would you be willing to invest in a wardrobe, for example, would allow you to kind of check the pocketbook without being very, very obvious about it. But because we sell B2B services, we can just ask their marketing budget. How long have you been in business, and when will you start on social media? This application allows them to start the call very informed and be able to dig into some of these questions to ask more clarity. For example, one of the easiest questions to ask is monthly revenue. When they select 50 to 100,000, that's a wide range. We usually ask, are you closer to the 50 or are you closer to 100? And it allows them to clarify and actually give you a much more specific answer, whereas they probably wouldn't be willing to do so here on a random application. And then below that application, we have tons and tons of social proof. Talking about how we turned off $60,000 a month in ads and actually made one of our plumbing coaches the biggest plumber on social media. Amazing testimonial. Something that we did for a direct-to-consumer guy, something that we did for a very high-end home builder direct-to-consumer guy, an insurance agency owner that we absolutely crushed it for, and just like dozens and dozens of testimonials, people saying good stuff about us. And the thing here is we want to be as transparent as possible in the results. So if someone is skeptical and they don't want to go through the application, they can just scroll through here and we can win a lot of trust with them, showing that we've had success in other industries before. We also have Trustpilot here, which shows our reviews, including the negative ones. The goal here is just to allow people to do their due diligence. Even if we get negative reviews, very transparent to show the shortcomings of our company. Unprofessional seems like a scam. This is based off my initial interview with this company, so the sales call, which is free, by the way. Showed up late to the meeting, didn't give me an apology or reason for being late. I'm really sorry about that. I asked for a pitch and an overview of what these guys do. This is actually what we provide in this entire video. So that 10-minute VSL up at the top explains it as well. If you do end up booking a call, we send a whole bunch of marketing material beforehand. The goal is to prevent this, to prevent someone from coming onto the call feeling completely uninformed. And so we send all of that marketing material before so that they can make a conclusion about our business before actually getting onto the call. Very unprofessional, something I've never experienced before. Personally, really sorry about this. It's not usually how we conduct business. At the same time though, just being really honest, I know everyone on my sales team, no one is trying to lose commissions. And most of the people on my sales team aren't there because they're stupid. They're there because they're extremely smart. Quantitatively, most people on my sales team get paid more take-home pay than almost everyone that they talk to on the phone. We got a reply here as well. The person doing the reply is also multi-six figures, not like some customer support rep from the Philippines. So whatever my team did, I'm sure that they made it right with you, but let's just read. And this is the kind of stuff that I want my people seeing. Go out, do your due diligence on my company. We tried to provide as much due diligence for this individual as possible. It's possible that maybe the automations didn't go through or something like that. Our team does not lead these discussions with a deck, marketing material, or collateral to take with you. However, we do provide extensive material about our process before the call, which we did confirm you had access to. That's good. We like to send this prep material beforehand, including these 2 instructional videos about what to expect during the discussion, detailing how to show prepared, make the most of our time together. We attend this call with the expectation that you have received and watched all those so we can jump into how we can fit our solution to your business. It's exactly right. It's not a boilerplate call with like a boilerplate pitch. It's very highly tailored to the business that they need. So if this guy was coming up completely uninformed, we wouldn't be able to provide very much value on the call, especially if he's completely unaware of what the call entailed. In summary, on the call, the highest priority is learning about you, your business, how our services can be customized. There we go. Exactly that. In this case, your initial application to work with us stated that you were ready to start within the next 30 days, but on call, you quickly let us know that you were in fact just starting your search and you would not be ready to engage in services for many months. Oh yeah, I'll finish reading, but we definitely do not try to pitch anyone or sell anyone that isn't ready for any kind of marketing services. I have really strict rules in place for the sales team to not pitch anyone that isn't ready. And we actually have internally a process as well that is just a 7-day money back guarantee where like if someone is pitched inappropriately or they're high pressure sold into the program or they're not ready for it, when they have that first meeting with their account manager who just like lays down the law about what we do, and if they find that it isn't congruent to what they were promised in the sales call, within that first 7 days, they're allowed a full refund. So it prevents my sales team from like overselling, which is why I'm very confident that they're not. It's because they're not incentivized to do so. They're not going to make any money if the person comes in and backs out. In fact, they will be penalized if they have too many people backing out within a certain time period. So Jared was probably just saving you the time. We take our application qualification process seriously. We're not willing to sell a business on a solution that they do not have the capacity to implement. Absolutely. As he already let you know, we'd be more than happy to meet again at a later date when you're ready to engage on social media. In the meantime, we have free training material available about our process for your team to independently conduct appropriate research about our services as a potential solution. We apologize for cutting the meeting short, but it was done with consideration for both your team's time, as it's become clear the partnership would not be a fit for us at this juncture. And this is actually a great demonstration of what our funnel actually looks like. So whether you like it or not, our process is highly selective. We are very careful about who we sell and not to overpromise and underdeliver on absolutely anyone. And so we just have a filtration process that really is well demonstrated here, and the rest of them look like pretty good reviews. Moving further down, we also have a bunch of before and afters. And then at the bottom of the page, we have more proof. And so this is a really important button that allows people to do deeper due diligence of our company. Like there's only so much that we can put on the single page. And yes, we also have reviews on Clutch and G2, which are far more comprehensive than Trustpilot stuff. But when you click the show more proof, we have some of our client success stories, as well as some highlights of what our company has done before. And for example, these case studies, I detail like how we're able to actually do some of these, as well as what our strategy was going into some of these clients. So tripling the ad effectiveness in 2 months, replacing $60,000 in ad spend, 8,400% more leads for that direct-to-consumer company. Some guy came in with a 10,000 follower goal and we just completely blew it up in 2 months. Actually, lead gen Jay. That was Jay. Congratulations, Jay. Good job. Seen your stuff recently. It's crushing. Transformed stagnant 10K business, 500 views in 1 week, a whole bunch of other stuff, as well as other social proof that people can scroll through if the material that was on that page wasn't enough. Now, a lot of people get scared and say, you don't want to redirect traffic away from your landing page. I totally agree that that is true. If you have an unsophisticated audience, that might not be a good conversion tactic. However, with a more sophisticated audience, it is actually in their benefit and in yours to give them as much marketing material as possible. Now, there's a limit to that, and I have a few examples of where we don't overstep that, but giving them as much information to do research about your company transparently has dramatically increased the actual brand value that we have. And the way I measure that is actually website visits. So what is the average revenue we make divided by the total number of website visits. So that way we can get to a number of revenue per website visitor. And as long as that is increasing, whatever you're doing on your webpage, whether it's improving the actual conversion metrics or just having better brand equity, demonstrating that your company is legit, if you can measure how that influences your revenue, you can do things to improve it, such as case studies, testimonials. So we found that it works a little bit better for us. But depending on your answers, when you click get started, you are going to get routed to a time on a certain person's calendar on my sales team. And we usually book out 3 days in advance. Let's say I'm picking a Sunday here, I can select that time. Then it's going to confirm what time zone it's in, as well as at the very bottom, just double confirm that that time works for you, and then you can schedule the meeting. Now, this sets off a complete flow of automations, but what's on this page is actually also important. We have a little video that people can watch before the call to show up prepared, and it just basically sets the expectations for the call, as well as just douses them with even more testimonials of what our clients previously have achieved. We have a link for the actual video call in the email, and we let them know to talk strategy. And then one more time, we have more more examples of the work to kind of warm them up as a lead before they get on a call with our team. Back to the flow chart. So this is the pre-call page. What happens immediately after that is that they get an email confirmation confirming their booking instantly. 4 minutes later, they get an SMS series of message 1, 2, and 3, which are 3 individual messages fully automated from the sales rep that they're going to be talking to. Basically like, hey, this is Jared. Wanted to send you a little bit of information before the call. Can you send me your socials? Also, watch this video here. And the watch this video here is the exact same pre-call page video. And we noticed about 25% higher watch rate when we also send it separately as a message here. And it's actually sent as a separate link in an embedded YouTube video. We send all of these messages via iMessage. So it shows up native to their phone because most of our people use iPhones, another metric that you should measure and understand. But this way, it seems like it's coming from an actual person and not just an automation. After that, we wait 30 minutes. If they did reply to that initial message that did have a request for their socials, if they have any kind of response, we remove them from this next automation. If not, because the salesperson with a blue iMessage sent them a question asking for their social media information, we also send a confirmation call email if they don't reply. So it'd be kind of weird to, within 30 minutes, not respond to a text for something that you opted in. And this is usually a sign as well that the lead is lower quality. So when they don't respond, we have a certain valuation on those types of leads. And we generally see them as a lower priority than someone who is very responsive. After that, we have a 24-hour reminder email, depending on if they booked within 24 hours or outside of 24 hours. We have a 4-hour reminder SMS, as well as a second one. And then 1 hour before the call, we actually switch the communication method. So if you pay attention here, we're swapping between types of communication. First is an email, then it's a text, then it's an email. It's an email 24 hours before, then it's a text, then it's an email, and then it's a text. And by alternating these two, we're hitting them on multiple different platforms, ensuring that we have an equal amount of communication, regardless of whether they prefer email or SMS. We've tested this automation with more frequent messaging, as many as 5 or even, I think at one point it was like 8 emails within a 24-hour period. And we've actually noticed a decrease in interest through our prospects. They just kind of start to get annoyed. We have this type of flow and this amount of frequency based on our B2B marketing services. If you sell fitness, if you sell dating, you might want to increase the total number of touch points. What I would be very confident of is, unless you're selling enterprise products that are more than $100,000 to businesses, I would probably not decrease the number of notifications. While this might seem like a lot, this is what we've tested extensively and found an incredibly high conversion rate on. And then all of those go to a sales call. But before that, we have a couple of other things that happen when things don't go right. For example, the reschedule reminder sequence. If they needed to reschedule after getting that first email or the second one, we leave reschedule links in all of these to make that easy for them. Because if they don't have a reschedule link, it's not that they're going to accidentally show up to the call at an inconvenient time for them, right? They're just going to cancel and they're not going to reschedule. So always providing them an out if they need it. And this is what that looks like, is once they reschedule, they get an email confirmation instantly, 24-hour, and then the email sequence and text sequence is also staggered, just like the other one going to the sales call. A little different though. So here's what happens when things go wrong. We're just piloting sales development reps in our sales process. Before, we've only had sales reps closing. We did $3 million a month with that. So I don't think that before you hit $3 million a month, appointment setters are absolutely necessary, but here's how we've integrated them since to allow just a little bit more efficiency. So we call or text applicants who have not booked a call. And this happens when they hit the landing page, complete the application form, but then do not book a meeting on the calendar. We have about 20% of our total people that complete an application and are successful, meaning they are not disqualified through our process, and they either are given the calendar 1, calendar 2, or calendar 3 booking links, but they choose not to book. Those are retargeted. And if the person submitted the application, but then has not booked within 5 minutes, it's automatically added to a task for the sales development rep queue. They reach out to a prospect, ideally within 5 minutes, text, voice call. They do a combination of both, and they double dial the voice call. If they don't reach them with a double dial, they try again later that same day. And if no answer, they try again on a 24-hour cadence until they've had no answers for 3 individual days, in which case they are added to a long-term nurture sequence. The appointment setters also follow up with cancels and no-shows to be able to reschedule those calls. So if someone cancels the appointment altogether or doesn't cancel and doesn't show up to their appointment, that appointment setter will individually reach out to the prospect daily for 5 days to try to get them back on the calendar or be decisive in removing them from the workflow altogether. If they're not responsive, we also add them to the long-term nurture sequence. One more thing that the appointment setters do is that they confirm calls. We actually have multiple different different tiers for this, but you can confirm low tier prospects as well as mid and high tier prospects depending on your level of authorization as an appointment setter. And it's just basically reaching out to prospects via text or voice call to confirm their appointment as well as ask a few discovery questions that were on their application. So for example, if someone here did not respond immediately to closer, yes, all the people that are qualified do get hit with this automation confirming that they haven't yet responded to the closer. But in addition to this automated process, we also have a manual one where they just call them up. And if we do get a response, they're going to ask all the same application form questions, just a little bit deeper. This is why we leave some of those a little bit more variable, like having a revenue range of 50 to 100,000 allows the appointment setter a reason to call. Like, hey, notice you're somewhere between this $50,000, $100,000 range. Was just hoping to get a little bit more information so I can pull some case studies that are very relevant to your specific business. Or if they say real estate on their intake form, they don't give more clarity as to what type of real estate they're doing, like whether they're a brokerage or an agent, or maybe they have a real estate education course online. All three of those are very different verticals, and we have case studies for each one of those that we can put together for the specific prospect if they allow us some time to have clarifying questions. This also warms them up before the call and allows the appointment setter to kind of hype up the person they're going to be talking to. Again, most of the people on our sales team make more than most of the people they're talking to. These are multi-six-figure, if not a couple that are on track for seven-figure positions as people that they are talking to. They are trusted advisors. They know a lot about business. And so the sales reps are just there to hype them up a little bit more. If they don't confirm the call or if they don't answer to the appointment setter, we have a different routing here, which is just following up over and over and over again until we can get them back on the calendar or dismiss them as a lead altogether and remove them from our follow-up process. Now that long-term nurture sequence actually looks like this. So we have a 24-hour delay after they're entered in, and then we have a string of 22 total value emails, which is a 45-day nurture sequence. We've tried nurturing longer. We just noticed that the actual throughput after 45 days is extremely low. And so rather than trying to just create a whole bunch more emails, which we can do in a day with ChatGPT, we have taken our highest converting emails, actually our highest converting pieces of traffic, the parts in the program that we teach that have the highest response rate from our clients, and we've condensed those into emails. I have personally written a lot of them as well as my CMO. Very high value, and we've shortened them up to about 22 because again, after that, there really isn't very much follow-up that's required. But this allows those 22 emails to be absolutely golden. Like if you're not in my email sequence, you're going to love my email sequence, and it allows us to build a lot of trust while remaining still a little bit more passive. That 48 hours is very congruent to what B2B business owners expect, and it's not pestering them too much like a lot of the B2C products probably should to have a higher conversion rate within their email sequence. Now that entire flow leads them to a sales call with someone on my team. All roads lead to a sales call, and they're either going to be a good fit for a one-on-one client based on the criteria we've established, or they're not a good fit and they're going to be DQ'd, like that unfortunate guy who left us a bad review. By the way, note for the editors, if we could just censor his name there so we're not like publicly embarrassing him, would appreciate it. And then the people that aren't a fit are redirected to the free training program. So if you're not a fit to work with us right now, for example, if you do generally less than $50,000 a month in top line revenue, we're just going to send you to our free material. It's amazing, but there's absolutely no way that we're going to sell someone who isn't qualified to even work with us. If you are qualified to work with us, the onboarding process that we have is robust. And we actually even have our entire delivery process there, which I'm not going to show you. You can pay to find out our delivery process, but it rocks. So in the onboarding process, we have a conditional 7-day money back guarantee. So not everyone is extended this, but for some prospects, it just makes sense. And it's a 7-day window to exit for any reason and receive a full refund. So the 7 days starts counting down from the first time the payment is received, and it allows that window of opportunity for anyone who doesn't feel like we're a fit to be able to exit. There are some instances where sales reps can't determine whether someone is a really good fit or isn't a really good fit for our program. And people say anything on the call to be able to potentially qualify for the program. This allows us to sell very, very honestly and not have the blowback that comes with selling people who aren't qualified to work with us. It protects my sales team as well as improves our brand reputation by not selling people who aren't qualified. From the sales side, first they get a wire and then they get proof of that wire, so a screenshot of the confirmation. Or if they're paying with a credit card, we have a payment link via HubSpot. If it's not paid with a credit card, the automatic onboarding doesn't happen, so the sales reps have to do this manually. And then they get booted to the auto onboarding sequence, which is done live on call with the rep taking them through it. They have a DocuSign contract sent. The client gets kicked to a welcome page with an intake survey, as well as a signed agreement, as well as an opportunity to sign the DocuSign agreement. There's an automatic ping that happens in our onboarding channel to let our account management team know that there's a new client on board. This is also when the ops team tags the associate account manager and the account manager who's responsible for leading that client. Also not documented here, the sales rep sends a summary of their sales call Oh, no, it is right here. Okay, call summary, and it's usually just a voice memo, like a minute long, letting the account management team know what the sales call is about, who a preferred account manager could be for the client, as well as some individual details of that sales call. So they don't have to watch the entire sales call for every single rep and can kind of get caught up on the details, especially if the client is fitting in to a demographic that we often serve. But any kind of details that they could pass on to account management to allow for a smooth handoff. The account manager introduces themselves in the client channel, voice note, custom, within the hour. Usually this happens like within the 5 minutes with some of our account managers. They review the intake survey, and then the client, after hitting the welcome page, signing the agreement, joining Slack, filling out the intake survey, books an onboarding call with the AM. This entire process usually happens before the person is even off the sales call with the sales rep. So within that hour, all of this kicks off, usually takes about 5-10 minutes, and the clients are instantly given access to everything that they paid for, even if they have this 7-day money back guarantee. And this really incredible onboarding process, which is mostly automated, happens instantly and delivers an immense amount of value to the client, is the reason we can offer a 7-day money back window. I've never seen another marketing company that is willing to spill their guts and show all of their clients exactly what it looks like for an entire week with the risk of not getting paid because they can't afford to do so, because their onboarding sucks and they're actually terrible. But if you can have a really good onboarding and give the client everything they need within 10 minutes of the hour that they already committed to, usually you're going to have great results. So the onboarding call is ideally also within the first 24 to 48 hours, so a client can get a really good sense of what we're like, and the account managers can actually start working behind the scenes before this 24 and 48 hour call, but also immediately after, hit the ground running and get the client up to the results that they need. And if the client expresses any interest in running ads at all, we also have a separate division of the company that gets completely looped in for clients that do have that interest there. So this entire funnel, again, makes us $3 million. I have the whole thing linked for you down in the description below. There's no opt-in. It's completely free. Just take it. I hope that this is going to be useful to you. And again, if you're not subscribed yet, the very next video I put out talking about ranking applications and lead routing, knowing when a customer is valuable and isn't valuable before even talking to them, it's going to be very important. Subscribe so you're notified when it comes out. And then the biggest thing that I'm missing here that I haven't yet disclosed is actually what happens on the sales call. How do you talk to clients and sell them on multi-5-figure or 6-figure programs without signing like a sleaze bag, but also getting money on call? I have an entire script on our discovery on how we completely handle every single objection that we've gotten over tens of thousands of sales calls right here. Just click the video. It is literally a diagram that you can download just like this, install into your business, and start hopefully closing way more deals.